Hey folks, I am Ryan Goodman, and you are listening to the Agriculture Proud podcast. Join the conversation and find all my content at agricultureproud.com. Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Agriculture Proud podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Goodman, coming at you from Helena, Montana. On this podcast, I cover a little bit of everything in agriculture and hear the stories behind a few of the people who are involved in farming and ranching from all different parts of the country. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher or wherever podcasts are found, and follow me on social media as AgProudRyan and on Facebook as Agriculture Proud. And as always, you can find all the episodes and show notes at agricultureproud.com/podcast. On this week's episode, I speak with Brian Scott, who farms in Indiana with his family. Brian blogs at thefarmerslife.com and actively shares the changes in the seasons and activities around the farm through his Facebook page, The Farmer's Life. Brian has always been great about addressing hot topics in the industry and even joined me on CNN a few years back when he talked about his cropping agreement with Monsanto. That story has definitely garnered Brian quite a bit of attention over the past few years and has added to the conversation about farmers' choice when it comes to growing seeds and how genetically modified crops work on farms across the country. Brian also grows popcorn, which you don't find too often, and it's a food that many people can directly relate to because we see it straight on the grocery shelf. During the past few weeks, Brian's online audience has grown multiple times over, with a video posted showing his 6-year-old son driving and operating a tractor during planting. That video was posted and overnight just garnered, I think it was a little over 1 million views overnight, just really took off and popped. And I think the video really captured the hearts of many folks and connected with the early memories we have of being able to do a chore or a task with a parent for the first time. I know for me, it definitely remember the first time my parents let me, drive the cattle trailer or drive the bush hog and the tractor during hay season, and definitely captures a memory. And I think that video really did a good job. Well, in the podcast today, Brian, fills us in on the story behind the video. And he shares a few tips on how you can utilize your camera or your GoPro to capture fun scenes on the farm or the ranch this year that we normally wouldn't be able to get with kind of other camera setups. So Brian shares some good tips there. As you listen to the podcast, send me any thoughts you may have. You can connect with me on social media as AgProudRyan and find Brian as The Farmer's Life. And now, I hope you enjoy episode 10 of the Agriculture Proud podcast with Indiana farmer Brian Scott. All right, on the podcast today, glad to welcome Brian Scott. He's a farmer from Indiana. Thank you for joining the show today, Brian.
Thanks, Ryan.
Glad to have you on. Many people might know you online as at the Farmer's Life. It's your blog, Facebook page, Twitter, and everywhere. And if you'll start us off a little bit, what is your role in ag, and tell us a little bit about your farm there in Indiana.
Yeah, I'm a farmer. Been back at our family farm full time for right at 7 years now. Left for a little while. After college, worked with my dad and my grandpa in northwestern Indiana on about 2,200 acres. We grow corn, popcorn, soybeans, and just a little bit of wheat.
You go, and I see you've been finishing up plant 16. I think something really neat is you always tend to take everybody online with your social media following through the entire kind of every season on the farm. And I think that's something that's pretty neat that you've done well.
It's fun to post those pictures and videos and have people keep up. And of course, I get a lot of feedback from other farmers, what's going on in other parts of the world and parts of the country. We just finished planting this past Saturday. I know I've seen a couple of guys in eastern Ohio where it's been really wet tweet, they're hoping to get started this week, that's pretty late.
Yeah, it is. We're here pushing June, and so it's kind of pushing into it, but hopefully everybody's kind of getting done. Something I think you've done really well over the past couple of years is kind of just tackling some of the topics on your blog. When did you start blogging, and how did that come about?
I think it was early 2011. I started my blog. I just tried it. I think I'd read it in a couple industry magazines. People are starting some farm blogs, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll give that a try. I think my first couple blog posts were a few sentences, no pictures, did it through an app on my phone, nothing too serious, but had a couple people kind of latch on to me early on and showed me the way a little bit, and just kind of kept rolling to where I am now.
There for a year or so, we had you and I had the opportunity to write on CNN and their food page, and that was a pretty interesting experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty cool, and I guess you kind of got me in there, so thanks for that. And got to put some good posts on there, and kind of expand the audience to a non-farm audience there, and a little bigger stage to present on. So that was a pretty cool opportunity. I think it kind of, where we were writing, kind of went away when the editor took a new job. So I don't think that website's super active anymore, but it definitely took my presence up a couple notches online.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was really interesting to get to interact in some of those conversations with people that we don't normally get to encounter. We definitely got a lot of comments back that were outside of our normal circles. Um, but it was a neat experience to get to share a couple of those things. I know one of the big posts that you wrote was explaining kind of like your cropping agreement with Monsanto and how farmers are growing crops. And you've continued to get different responses on that over the years, haven't you?
I think that went back up. That was up in like 2012 sometime. And the original version of that post on my blog finally became not my number one post, like sometime in 2015. It finally wasn't at the top of the heap all the time. So I really get a lot of, that's kind of the post that put me on the map, and CNN made it even bigger. So that's really one of the core foundations of my blog, and where I get some following from. And I know a lot of people still share that post. I redid that post to kind of update it, because there was kind of some timely stuff in it. So I redid it early this year. And, I sent a new link out to a lot of people, because I know a lot of people reference it in some of their conversations.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll be sure to include that updated link in the show notes for this episode. So that's a very interesting post. And it's nice to hear farmers talking about these difficult topics. They're about what's involved in their farming operations. I know me I'm a livestock person. So I know I've learned quite a bit from you and several other farmers online about cropping in different areas of the country. But you also, have been pretty active on Facebook. And recently on your Facebook page, you've been through this whole season. You've kind of been playing with some drone footage and some different camera setups. What kind of got you started in that?
Yeah, well, the drone thing I got started because that's kind of a up and coming thing for crop scouting, which I'm gonna, here in about a month, I'm probably gonna be spending a lot of time getting images of our fields and stitching maps together, see what I can find. But it also makes for some pretty sweet videos and pictures you can share on social media. I think it's really cool for the non-farm people. Before I had the drone, a lot of the pictures at planting and harvest time was taken through a windshield. They couldn't see the scope of what we were doing, or the whole piece of equipment and what was actually going on. And now they really can. Or I can take my GoPro and stick it places on equipment where you could never do otherwise. And that's not just for other people to see. It's cool to see my equipment working in ways I can't see when I'm actually doing it. I can put the GoPro in a place you would get killed if you tried to go take a picture there. So
yeah, it's a little safer than riding on the fender of the tractor or on the equipment, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So no, that's pretty cool. In a very unique way to kind of show that and I like how you said it's a different scope of what's going on, but also pretty important farm tools that you've been able to embrace with some of that. So
yeah, there's two sides to it.
This past week, middle of May, you put up a pretty cool a video that we'll say has gone viral. You had your son riding along with you in the tractor, and let him take the driver's seat for a little bit. And that video took off. Essentially almost doubled your page, and now has tripled your page, almost 150% growth in less than a week on your Facebook page. I think closing in on over 41,000 likes right now.
Yeah.
So what kind of came up, and what brought that video along?
Well, I'd actually done a video last fall with the camera set up in the cab, looking at the operator's seat, where I just had him, drive the grain cart away from a truck at harvest. It was like a 45-second video. We just pulled away from the truck and, got it back in a staging area, and then we went back to combining. But yeah, he was 5 then, he's 6 now. He can't reach the clutch or the brakes, but that tractor, the way the transmission works, you don't really need to. You can use the armrest controls for all that in most situations. So got to planting this year, and I thought, hey, let's teach you how to raise the planter up and down, get turned around, that kind of stuff, and put it back down. So I said, well, the GoPro's in the cab with me, let's stick it up. I didn't expect it to go crazy. It's got I don't even know, I'd have to look. 30-some thousand people have liked it. There's 50,000 people have shared it. It's crazy. I've never had anything.
Yeah, over 5 million views on it.
Yeah, I joked with somebody the other day. I said that one post on Facebook has 3,000 some comments, which is more comments than the entirety of my blog over 5 years. And half those comments on my blog are me replying to people. So
yeah,
it's kind of nuts. A couple minutes worth of work.
Yeah. I tell you what, one of the things that really kind of stuck with me, and I think resonated with a lot of people, is for the farm people, you'll always remember that first time mom or dad let you operate a piece of equipment, or do a part of the chores on the farm. And so, that's kind of a memory that triggers. It was pretty cool to see that shared and to see that go so quickly online.
Yeah, a lot of people, if you watch it, people made the comment that when he's doing it and making the turn, he's you can tell he's really focused and really serious. But as soon as he gets the planter in the ground and we get back going straight with the GPS auto steer again, he's like, his 6-year-old kid face comes back on, that he's so excited that he did it.
That's a pretty cool feeling. So to help out folks who are wanting to maybe use their GoPro camera a little bit to capture kind of scenes, what's kind of involved in what do you have to set it up or edit the videos with?
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff you'll see from my GoPro, I bought a $20 magnet mount on Amazon. They're rated in pounds. The one I got's a 50-pound one. I think you can get up to a 200-pound one. I struggle sometimes to get this one off the equipment, so I think the 50-pound is plenty. I've left it underneath the planter or a tillage tool for hours at a time before I get back out and plug it back off. So I don't have any worries about it falling off or anything. And I just I control it through the Wi-Fi with my phone, so I can change the settings and that stuff. And then a lot of times I'll go back later and download it off the GoPro just onto my iPad and edit it with iMovie.
So yeah, pretty simple process of getting it put up there. And I've seen, as Facebook has introduced their live videos, video is the way to go in getting things shared and seen as far as a specific type of Facebook post.
I tried, I only got to do it once. I should have done it a few more times. You can periscope through your GoPro now, which I thought was kind of cool. I stuck the GoPro under the planter and, did a live video stream of the planter running through the field up close and personal. So that was kind of neat. And you can switch back to your phone's camera in the middle of the stream and get yourself back on there and answer questions and then flip back to the GoPro. So that's something I might try to make more use of in the future.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Don't have a lot of on-farm activity, or where I am, I don't have a lot of live service, so I hadn't been able to utilize Periscope very much. That's a pretty neat function I hadn't heard of before.
Yeah, I just tried it for the first time a couple of weeks ago. That is one thing. I do have unlimited data on my phone, so Periscope's not too big of a deal. And of course, I'm in there in the cab, so I've got a charger. But you get to people asking questions, and you Periscope for 10 or 15 minutes, your phone starts to heat up pretty good. You use a lot of battery.
Oh, I imagine. Well, hey, Brian, before we go here, a couple of minutes left. So for farmers who are out in the fields and they enjoy kind of following people along online, what advice do you have to share with them to, maybe ways to encourage them to share their story a little bit more, or to see a little bit of value if they're saying, well, it's great you're doing it. What's kind of the value in taking the time to do things like sharing on a blog or sharing your planting day or cropping day via social media?
Yeah, the first thing I say is, you don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Just snap a picture here and there, or tweet it, post it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. It only takes a few seconds to show people what you're doing, and you'd be surprised. There are people out there that will follow you. They might not comment or really let you know, but I every once in a while they do, or I'll get an email from somebody say, "Hey, I follow you and like to keep up with your posts," or the funny thing I always think about, the internet being worldwide and far-reaching, and then I go to the grocery store and somebody says they read this blog post. I'm like, oh yeah, people that I know look at this stuff. So
Yeah, for sure. And well, people can you raise
you
popcorn.
kind of forget that. Yeah,
Yeah.
popcorn is a good way to relate to people, and that's one thing I've learned. Man, there's an awful lot of people that don't know all the different kinds of corn are different kinds of corn. So they think field corn for animal feed, sweet corn, popcorn. There's white corn, blue corn. They think it's all corn, and then you do something with it later to make it popcorn or sweet corn or whatever. So that's kind of a lot of times when I tell people we grow corn, soybeans, popcorn, and wheat, they'll stop me. They say, well, "Why did you say corn and popcorn? What do you mean you grow both of them?" So that's been a pretty big conversation starter for me over the years.
Yeah, it's a good point. Things that we look at is like, oh, well, that's common knowledge. We've got all these different varieties.
Right.
Those are the types of things that people seem to really bite on. It's novel information for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, and you got to try and kind of think about those things. I know it's hard, and a lot of people are in the same boat I am. I mean, I've been around this stuff literally since the day I was born, so like it's all normal to me. So it's tough to think of what questions people might ask you that have never been around it.
And so for people who are listening that aren't on the farm and are looking to find a little bit more information, what advice do you have for them in trying to find farmers and ranchers and trying to ask them questions online?
Go to the Farmer's Life. That's where you're supposed to go.
There you go.
But no, we're out there. Like you said, plant 16 earlier. When it's planting season, everybody likes to use the hashtag plant whatever year it is, 15, 16. Here in a few months, it'll be harvest 16. So there's ways to find us out there. There's quite a few people. I used to say I could get on Twitter and I didn't need my weather app because I could get on Twitter and watch a storm come across the country just by who was tweeting what at what time of the day.
Yeah, for sure. Follow those weather hashtags for sure. Just to kind of wrap up here, where what are your different platforms that you're on, and how can people find you on those?
Yeah, I'm the Farmer's Life everywhere. So thefarmerslife.com is the blog, facebook.com/the Farmer's Life, at the Farmer's Life on Twitter and Instagram, and then you can find me on YouTube as well.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Brian Scott, I appreciate it. Farmer from Indiana, and thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thanks, Ryan.
Well, hey, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Brian Scott, farmer from Indiana and blogger at thefarmerslife.com. I find that many farmers and ranchers who share their stories online do so with quite a bit of passion and enthusiasm, and I think that really connects with audiences. So it's always great to see those audiences grow and capture the attention of so many people online seeking to learn more about our food supply. So I really encourage you to go check out thefarmerslife.com, catch up with Brian on social media and YouTube as The Farmer's Life. And you can find stories that we discussed and links to those in this episode by going to the show notes found at agricultureproud.com/podcast and go to episode 10. And as always, you can connect with me on social media as AgProudRyan and on Facebook as Agriculture Proud. And until next time, this is Ryan Goodman with the Agriculture Proud podcast.